The wine industry says it's on the verge of collapse. Harvesting on the Cape Winelands continues, but there's no knowing when government will lift the ban on alcohol sales. Now, the industry's demise is also having a negative impact on its supply chain, with glass company manufacturers saying they're also struggling to cope. Ronald Masinda is covering this story for us. He joins us now live from Cape Town. So, Ronald, this ban, of course, having a rippled effect on glass companies, right?
Yes, indeed, Shahan. Well, for starters, the alcohol industry accounts for around 80% of glass packaging sales. And since the glass industry is part of the wine industry's supply chain, it is also suffering quite huge financial losses. Now, if we talk about the wine industry's supply chain, one talks about the tourism sector, where many people come and visit areas like the Western Cape on the Cape Winelands to go for wine tasting. That experience has now been deprived to many people, as well as one talks about going to restaurants. Many people are now missing out on having wines at these restaurants. And the glass industry is, of course, suffering huge financial losses. And given that the first two liquor bans that we saw last year, the glass industry suffered around 1.5 billion rand in financial losses. That was around 250 million rand a month. Now, the glass industry, without any wine, many people will suffer and also lose their jobs. Around 26,000 people are currently working in that industry. We also know, Shahan, that given that there's no knowing when this liquor ban will be lifted, wine industry is also feeling quite a lot of anxiety. We also spoke to several people earlier today who said that many sellers have to store wine, and the concerns are that much of the wine will go to waste, given that a lot of it will expire. So there's a lot of cause for concern on the ground.
Bottling companies have been hugely impacted by this ban, but it stretches beyond that to packaging companies, people who do label printing, transport companies who would normally do deliveries, and the hospitality sector.
Glass manufacturing giant Consol says its industry lost over 1.5 billion rand during the first two liquor bans.
The big risk is that you cannot stop a glass factory. You cannot switch off a tap like you will do with filling a beer or wine. Glass furnace has to remain on. So even if you're not producing anything, you have to circulate glass through that furnace, which means that costs us about 250 million rand every month.
The Western Cape government says the province has passed its second peak. It's calling on government to end the alcohol ban as thousands of workers and businesses continue to suffer.
The glass manufacturing industry employs around 26,000 workers. Many jobs could be lost if the current ban continues.
There are 550 jobs at Consol Glass here. The bottom line is, if the restrictions are not lifted, this company is not sustainable.
The wine industry relies on glass manufacturers for packaging. With many sellers unable to sell their stock, the industry faces the risk of losing millions of litres in wasted wine. Ronald Masinda, Cape Town.